Hi, and thank you for joining us on the Empowered Mama Summit. Today I have Natalie Sorenson, who is a leading success coach and personal branding mentor for women. She's dedicated to helping mompreneurs shift their mindset, discover infinite possibilities to help create a lasting legacy. So Natalie, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you want to tell us a little bit more about what you do, that would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So I've actually been an entrepreneur for the last 13 years. And just recently, I've basically had 7 different types of businesses. My husband and I are both entrepreneurial. So our journey, it's almost like, where do you want to start? Because I started in business when I was 18. A huge shift happened for me whenever I had my first little one, though. And I had this huge challenge of busting the myth between can you really be a mom and run a successful business? Because that was who I wanted to be and what I knew I could contribute to the world and do. And so I've been able to do that over the last, my oldest just turned 7 and I'm 8 months pregnant with my 3rd. So I'm definitely living that mompreneur life every single day. And I just love helping other people do that. A lot of people, either think that they can't, or their belief or their confidence in it, or knowing how to. So I love supporting women in all of those different areas now. So I run different programs and coach different clients of different places in life, but all usually on that journey of trying to conquer that, find success, and be an amazing, loving, attentive rock star mom.
Yeah, and you totally are balancing it all. You have an amazing couple of businesses, and your daughters do cheer, which is like totally time consuming, I'm sure, but you always have the
lifestyle in itself.
Yeah. So I'm like, and I just saw, so cute, the labels for back to school.
Yes.
The personalized, labels. I thought that was so cute. So you are definitely balancing it.
I'm definitely always trying to use my creative talents, not only in business, but to spoil and just love on my kids. Like, I never wanted to be the mom that couldn't volunteer at school or throw the party or be the cheer mom or whatever. And so people ask me all the time, how do you do all that you do? And I mean, the answer is I have no idea. I take it one day at a time. And the key to all of it is prioritization. So my kids come first. But my business is vitally important because that's how I provide for my family and have them in all the activities and all of that. So, not relying on that 9-to-5 job or that set salary makes me know that I have to really hustle at both to live the life that I want to with my kids.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for being here. And as you know, the summit is for moms, right? It's the Empowered Mama Summit, helping women kind of reclaim their lives, their personal power, live with purpose and intention, and create that legacy. So for you, what does legacy mean? What does that mean to you?
I think about it all the time. And I think the most important thing that I think about legacy is what you leave behind. And that isn't just your materialistic belongings or the money that you've made or inheritances. All of those things are amazing. And I hope to leave, a tangible legacy to my children. But more than that, I think that it's how you changed the world when you were in this world, right? And that creates a lasting legacy that not only is remembered by your children or those you impacted, but I think it causes a ripple effect. Like, I always think to myself, I want them to be able to say, if my mom could do this, then I could do this. And if I was living in fear, or I was settling, or I was compromising, they're going to go, well, my mom didn't, and maybe I won't either. So I think that lasting impact and that huge legacy for me is that I took action, that I didn't have excuses, and that I just went out there and made whatever life I wanted to possible. So I make them a huge part of my vision, which is the legacy I'm currently leaving my children. Is they have vision boards. My little one told me yesterday while we were walking through the mall, I better take the baby off the vision board because that already came true, and I don't want you to have another one. So they're just just a huge part of knowing that my intentionality and the way that I live is going to be passed down to them. And I hope it's passed on to their kids and to their kids, and even the others that you come in contact with, like my friend's daughter or my daughter's friends, and just my community and everything like that. I hope that I have a ripple affecting legacy on all of them as well.
Yeah, awesome. And I think that's such a great point, because growing up, my dad had his own business. And so for me, I was always like, well, I'm just going to start my own business. That's the way to go. And I think if he had been in a traditional 9-to-5 and doing things, I guess, the normal way, I would have probably fallen the same footsteps. But seeing him have the flexibility, being able to get to our events and practices and kind of do things as he wanted, it made me want to work that much harder to have my business and have that same flexibility for when I started a family, now that I have my daughter. So I think that's awesome.
I think it almost sets like a new standard for you, because my dad was an entrepreneur and he was at all of our things and supported me in such a big way. And I attribute a lot of the person that I am and what I have done in my life to how he lived his life. And he's still here. He's still living it.
Yeah.
But I tried to model that. One thing that my dad taught me was that he always left it at the door. One thing as entrepreneurs, business never stops. It's not like you have a day off, truly. Your brain is always in overdrive thinking about your business, of, strategizing the next thing or worrying about something that might happen when you're away or something like that. And my dad, he's still so amazing at being able to leave it at the door and not make his worries or his woes or his challenges all a part of our whole families. And so that was such a true gift to me that I am always trying to live out. It's way more difficult for me because I like talk about whatever it is that's on my mind or whatever I'm worried about. And I'm like, it's not, I want my kids to want the life that I'm living and that I'm leading. I don't want them to be like, I'm getting a job, because my mom could never turn it off. She was always working. So I don't want that.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it is, it is true, being a mom and trying to turn things off and not talk about it, because I think as women, we're just we naturally want to talk. We want to get it off our chest. And so, yeah. Awesome. And so another question for you, why is living a purpose-filled life important for you? And do you have any tips for the moms that are watching us?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely vital to live a purposeful life. I think that that's what we're here for, and I think that that's our calling. Here's the thing that I find in my own life, challenging living my purpose and helping hundreds of clients and people that I've worked with lead theirs, is they think that thinking about it and searching mentally to find that purpose is the answer. And for me, it is completely the opposite. To find your purpose, you must be in action. So I tell clients all the time, action creates clarity. And so if you're literally like, I'm going to take this season of my life and just think and ponder and journal, and you just think that thinking about it is going to help you determine that path of your purpose, it totally isn't. So, I mean, my way that I have done it and the way that I teach other people to do it is I truly, truly believe that passion plus daily massive action creates a purposeful life. And when people think of their purpose, they think maybe it's just like one thing. It can be in like quotations. And I totally disagree. My path has taken me in the last, let's say 13 years of entrepreneurship, of leaving high school, to live a purposeful, driven, successful life. But it's had all of its crazy quacks and turns. And there was many times where I lacked passion. And for me, that was the temperature and the degree point to determine, ooh, maybe I'm off track. Maybe I'm settling. Maybe I'm living mediocre for what I'm capable of. So my question that I ask myself, and I would ask my clients, is, would you be doing exactly what you're doing if you weren't making money? And that is a tough question that when people answer it, they're like, no, I wouldn't. So your passion is confused with what you're good at. So if you're very super, super smart and you've gone through medical school and you have a medical degree and you're practicing that, you think, yeah, I'm passionate about that. It's like, no, would you if you were making money? And their answer was like, no, I would be playing a guitar in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, we better get the guitar in the coffee shop somehow twisted and mingled into your life for you to fully be fulfilled and live that passionate life. So I really believe that if you take it all from your head into your heart and you ask yourself, like, what am I truly, truly passionate about? What feels so good to me? What makes time fly by that I could do like with my eyes closed and feel like I was in a time machine? Those are the things that have to be not necessarily sold out. It doesn't mean that that's the only thing that you do. Like I don't tell the doctor, hey, quit your job, leave the hospital, sit in a coffee shop all day long, because that might not necessarily align with their goals and their visions and their dreams. But I do think that they can intertwine the two together to where like you really do feel filled with purpose. And I think that that's definitely the best thing that I have to say is that it's never just one thing and it's not your entire life.
Yeah, I think
It's
that's
a constant journey.
So I'm an attorney, right? I've been in my own practice for about 5 years, but when I got out of law school, I was like, there has to be more than just like preparing documents or going to court, because that was like boring. And I was like, if I have to do this for the next 10 years, I'm going to be miserable. So I needed to find something else. And for me, it was empowering women who kind of, get into that position where they're feeling stuck or there's more to life and they want to leave, this legacy for their children, and just kind of digging a little bit deeper. So I do kind of the pre-work before they think they want to start a business. So, I get them to even consider starting a business. And then, and it's interesting because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, how's, that coaching thing going for you? And I'm like, you know what? I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. And if I could like pump these women up and be their cheerleaders, like on a daily basis for free, I would totally do it. But I have bills to pay, so I charge for my services. But if it was, the legal part of it, I'm like, it's that draining, like I know that I'm serving a purpose. I know that it's beneficial, but this isn't who I am and all of me. So that's why I've combined the legacy coaching and the estate planning and the, the legal work to help women really feel empowered.
For sure. And I vouch what you're saying. Just because you would do it free of charge doesn't mean that you should. Right. And I'm all about living the life of your dreams and totally putting the girl on the shelf that isn't, okay with charging what she's worth and living extravagantly, whatever that looks like to you. It might be what your makeup bag looks like, or it might be the car that you drive, or it might be the vacations you take, or whatever the case may be. But your dreams and what you want in your life are put in you for a reason. It's like those desires are to be lived out. They are to be chased, to be attained. And everybody's looks so different. People would say, I'd never buy a handbag that looks like that. Well, you would never travel to Thailand, or whatever the case may be. Everybody's are so unique and different, but they're all special to them, and they should totally chase them down and make them their reality, no matter whatever it is. I totally believe in that.
I love that. And so tell us a little bit. So you kind of, you didn't do the, what I say, quote unquote, traditional route, right? You started your first business at 18,
Yes.
19. So you didn't even, so tell us a little bit about that, because, from that perspective, like you've been living out your purpose and your dreams from a young age. Some of us, I'm in my 30s, kind of took us a little while because we went the, school route. So tell me a little bit about,
Well, so I'm definitely not anti-school. I think that people living out their purpose and their plan could totally like have needed that. Like my parents asked me, you'll have the girls go to school, won't you? And I'm like, yes, I will. I'll encourage them to. I can't make them. And I'm so glad my parents didn't try to make me. Because I was just a strong-willed little girl that was like, I don't want a teacher to teach me business. Like, I want to learn from my dad who's been in business, and he will mentor me, and I don't need to waste 4 years and a bunch of money and time. I just want to do it. I want to learn through action, like baptism by fire, And boy, boy did I, because I, signed up for that, and it was like, drinking water out of a fire hose. You had no idea what you were getting into. My dad made it look so easy. And I had to figure it out on my own. But the one thing that I had was a fire under me to, one of my favorite quotes, and I say it to myself all the time, is success is inevitable if failure isn't an option. And for me, failing at that, for all my friends and everybody who said to me, you're really smart, you're not going to college? Wait, Natalie, you make amazing grades. You could be, my chemistry teacher said, you should go into nuclear medicine. You're one of the most brilliant children in chemistry. And I'm like, the lab coat, talking to no one. I'm just not interested. And she goes, you're just going to do hair? Because I was going to cosmetology school in high school. The first business I opened up was a salon. And I just remember those words just echoing in my brain. You're just going to do hair? And my first year doing hair, my fire was to make more than this for my chemistry teacher. So I could have gone back, which I didn't. I'm not a vengeful person, but I did let those words fire me up and just say, if you think that's impossible, I'll show you it's possible, because I'm not going to just do hair. I'm going to be incredible at that. I'm going to, live it out with purpose and use my creativity, and be really successful at it. So, that journey of taking that path, I want to say that there was always something to prove, because it was the path less taken. It was the thing. And so I never wanted help from my parents. I never wanted anybody to think that I had failed. And so it was a huge success, and many people were astounded by what I could create. I sold my business when I was 24 for, an incredible profit, because I had made it a really successful business. And most of my friends hadn't even landed jobs. They were coming out of school with all this student loan debt, and they were like, I can't even find a job teaching. But if they did find a job teaching, they would still be struggling financially. And I just didn't want to be that. I always knew that I didn't ever know I would have kids or that I would have daughters, much less. And now I'm going to have 3 of them. But the one thing I knew that I wanted, which comes from your growing up and your story, is that I didn't ever want to settle in life because I needed security. Okay, so whether that be a relationship, or whether that be a lifestyle, or a place I lived, or a job that I had, I just never ever wanted to settle and not have ultimately what I wanted. How that played out, now I know, with my girls, is you're never going to need a man, and you sure don't need one that treats you bad. So my husband is amazing to me, and they have an amazing father, but they're also going to see this pattern that I'm never sitting in the corner victim to momhood or feminine, being a female, or whatever the case may be. So that's truly, with what you're doing with empowered women, I think that that's empowering. I think that's empowering to go, I don't care if any man has ever made it up the ladder this way. A woman can do it just as much or better, and look better, have more fun. And so I really believe that there's so much empowerment behind not ever making what you want in life not possible for you because something's stopping you, whatever that might be, whether it be your health, whether it be the way that you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror. All of that can be stuff that you work on and that you completely break through, because there is somebody out there, who weighs 100 pounds more than you, killing it. Yeah. So you're telling yourself, I need to lose weight for me to be able to X, Y, Z. And it's no, take a look around. Yeah. There's so many people in the world that are doing what you want to do, who are chasing their dream, and they're wildly successful. And they didn't wait till they were grown. So maybe there's a story in your head, when my kids are gone, or when my kids are in school, when this, when that. And I've never lived that way. Today is the day to make that happen. Start now, because you'll be glad you did. Because for me, I always tell myself, well, when my kids are gone, who knows what I want to be doing then, but I want to be doing this now. I'm going to leave that season for probably something else I can dream of.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great point, because, I think for some moms who have, put their dreams on the back burner or kind of fell into this career, this 9 to 5, and now they're moms and they're like, well, I need that security and I can't kind of chase my dreams. And they're like, well, and if I did, what would I do? Knowing that they're in this 9 to 5, but they're not passionate about it, but they also don't know what they want. And so kind of taking that inspired action that you were talking about earlier, but also just taking action to kind of dig deeper and figure out what you like. And what you like today may not be the same thing you like tomorrow. And what you feel your purpose is today may be different, a year from now. So just taking the action today and doing what feels right to you and your soul.
This idea that you mentioned that there's more security in a job, I don't believe in. There's no security. You're not in control of it. It's not your business. They can let you go at any point. So when people are like, it's just safe here, it's secure, I'm like, no, it's not. Not at all. Companies, jobs are being replaced by technology every single day. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. It's not 100%, right? And so I've always felt that entrepreneurship in any business that I've ever had was safer, that I relied on me and my efforts and what I could create and wasn't affected by politics or by, them not liking me, or somebody younger who would make less could replace me or whatever. So that's just something to ponder. If that's a mindset thing of this is safe. No, it's not. The opposite. And you in the driver's seat of your life, ultimately, where choices and everything's up to you. So I was in the relationship marketing industry for years and had built, massively successful teams. And I love that industry and I always will probably be a part of it and have something to do with it, because it basically is the bridge between people thinking that entrepreneurship is impossible to them seeing that it can work and it can succeed. And so it's kind of this, it bridges a gap to a lot of the people who think, well, I couldn't do this, I'm a this. And so I have so much passion behind it. But at the end of the day, when I started my, coaching business and started offering courses and programs to help entrepreneurs, it was ultimately because I had that buzz inside of me that even though that was my own business, it ultimately wasn't. I couldn't release products when I wanted to. I couldn't, market things totally the way that I wanted to. I didn't have ultimate freedom, which not everybody's looking for ultimate freedom. But for me at that point in my life, I was. And I mean, that was what brought passion back into my life, was being able to fulfill all those touch points and it kind of being my ideas implemented and things like that. So I think that's super important.
Awesome. So in terms of empowerment, what does being an empowered mama, what does that mean to you?
Whew. You said to keep this short, so I'm trying to. Being an empowered mom is absolutely not settling for what others think your life should look like, what you some days think you're capable of, because some days are better than others, some days are worse. So it's not staying in that frame of mindset. It's about being proactive, positive, and intentional every single day. And if you look at your life and you don't like something about it, a year and a half ago, I wasn't able to take my kids on the vacation that I wanted to for spring break. Some of my friends where we live were taking their kids on all these amazing vacations. And I looked at those pictures on Facebook and it did not make me jealous in the fact that it was poor me. I was like, you know what? This next summer, we are going on a dream trip of a lifetime, no matter what it takes. I am going to make that happen because I felt like, going camping or whatever we were planning on doing was just not going to cut it for me. I wanted to be taken to a tropical destination. And so I did. I got busy. I busted rear. We had to make some sacrifices as a family. My girls knew that I was, working more and I was doing some things for them that I hadn't been used to doing normally, but they were going to reap the reward and the benefit from it. And so a few months later, we were sitting down in front of the computer, dream building what this trip would look like. And they picked to go to San Diego Zoo and to SeaWorld and go to the beach. And I was able to make that happen for them. So I think that's what empowerment's all about. It's the fact that all of the money and all of the success and anything that you can dream up is possible, and it's out there in the universe for somebody to go and take and somebody to go and do. And if you're going to sit back and say, that'll probably never be me, that's not living an empowered mama. Or you go, you know what? San Diego Zoo sells tickets every single day, and my family's going to have one of them today, and we're going to go make memories of a lifetime. And that's exactly what I did. Does it take sacrifice? Does it take discipline? Does it take hard work? I mean, I don't like using the words like grind or, whatever, hustle, but I'm like, yeah, I've worked really hard. I've said no to happy hours with friends that would have been fun. And instead I was, building an empire. And one of my friends said to me once, if it doesn't make money, you don't do it. And I thought, that's not true. I spend time with my kids all the time. That's not making money. But her comment to me could have stopped me. It could have slowed me down. It could have derailed me. And instead I assessed it and I thought, you know what? No. Her comment came from a place of, I didn't do all the things that she wanted me to do because she wanted me to be more like her, turn down my notch on business, settle for what my husband could bring in. And that was more her life story, right? Yeah. So when she told me that, I thought, no, I've just looked at it and my priorities and intentions are for my family, for the life that I want to lead, and for my legacy. And you can still be my friend, but I'm not going to spend all the time in the world. But that comment could have made me an unempowered mama and taken me off my game. And instead I just went, I get it. Like, she's not going to get as much time from me as she wants, but who is my kids, my family. I have my priorities written out in my office, big on my wall, and it's God, my family, my business, and then other people's business. And then it's friends and community and things like that. And I look at that chart when I'm making decisions with my time, or if I can say yes or no to certain situations, because I have to know that it's falling in that order and that I've set that intention of being my priority. So I think that's what empowerment's all about.
I think that's actually amazing because, a lot of times, especially being a business owner, I know for me, a lot of my friends don't have businesses. And so I run my life and I live my life very, very different than they do. And on a daily basis, it's a struggle. Like, oh, let's go do this. And I'm like, oh, I have client meetings, but it's Saturday. It's okay. I need to squeeze it in because, my daughter's with my mom or whatever it is. And I really love what I do, but figuring out what your priorities are, sticking to that, and basically what you want and living your life on your terms is so important. And I think so many times as women, as moms, sisters, daughters, friends, we will kind of succumb to other people's expectations of us and not stand in our power completely because there's, we can kind of talk about this like forever, but it's this idea, that kind of society has put on us that we should be these nurturers, and we are in our own way, but kind of, agreeing to do everything, always saying yes, and, maintaining the house and all these, preconceived notions of what we should be as women and as mothers. And it doesn't take into the consideration the independence and the business owners that are a part of a lot of us. So I think that's great. The priorities. And I love that, God, family, your business, and then other people's businesses. I think that's, amazing. And I think all of you out there that are watching this should make your priorities list, because that'll help you figure out, what you say yes to and what you say no to, and then fully step in and live life on your terms.
Yeah. Two things. That priority list is like a kind of like a compass or a guide for all decisions that I make, as well as my vision board. So many people are living their lives for someone else that I always say, wait, is their face on the vision board? Like my mom's picture is not on my vision board, but yet she has been somebody in my life that can derail me, that can throw me off, that can get me to waste time, get me to complain, get off in negative Nellyville. Hey, did you hear about so-and-so? And I'm on the phone. No. And I'm like, I have to look at that and say, you know, making her happy or having that 30-minute phone conversation with her today isn't going to help me move towards my vision and my things that I've set a weekend or however long it takes you to create that vision. I do it once a year, typically towards the beginning of the year. I will reassess and I look at that. I also look at it for other things like food choices or where I'm going to eat, because I have I want to eat these foods that I have like on my vision board. So when I'm sitting in my office going, oh my gosh, I would love to have, you know, In-N-Out burger, which I ate yesterday. Some days I will look and I'll go, no, I need to make the choices, because the woman that's going to live that life is going to go grab some almonds. She's going to sit back down at her desk. She's going to get what she needs to done, because those are the things that are truly important. Your fitness, your health, those are things that do affect your legacy. Yeah. Because if I'm not around to see some of the things and the memories that I want to create on there, then that will be bad. Or if I'm not in optimal health and things like that. So I think those are the two key foundational points of business that have always been a part of my life, that have always directed me towards success, because I look at that and say, and just to give you an example, year before last, I was in the middle of creating a new business where I was working way more than usual. And when the question came up, can you be the cheer mom? And cheer mom means you're gonna, you know, you're gonna just basically, this is gonna be your job, right? Yeah. So it's like all the parties, all the extras, all the gifts, all the collecting money and putting stuff together and coordinating everything. And the answer was no. Although I would have loved to, I had to say no because I had to create this, right? So then the next year came around and the answer was not no. It was like a big heck yes. Because I was like, I have spent the last year putting the things into place in my business that needed to be where they were at so I could do that. Because when I looked on my priority list, my 6-year-old daughter was like, Mom, I want you to go backstage with us at competitions, and I want you to be the cheer mom. I want you to do all the parties because you're the best at them. And the truth is, I am. You know, I am really good at it. But I had to say no for a season so I could say yes in another. And that is being empowered. It's not always the same to the same thing. I say no to girls' dinners in a certain season where I'm the one coordinating them in another, because it is important to build relationships, and it is that. But you just have to know when it's right for your family based on your priorities and your dreams, goals, and vision.
I love that so much. So just to kind of wrap it up, and this is a good kind of transition point, if you had one piece of advice for the moms that are watching who are maybe just starting to figure out like, okay, what is my purpose? What would living a purpose-filled life mean to me? Or how do I reclaim my power and create my legacy? What would be your one big piece of advice? I mean, you have tons of pieces here that you've given, but what would be kind of like the one thing, if the only takeaway if the only thing they walked away with was this, what would that be?
You can't think your way into a purposeful life. That is the thing that I think keeps people stuck the most. Quit thinking about it. Quit wishing and wanting and feeling like it's just going to come to you one day, because it's not. You're going to have to take action. You're going to have to leap, and the net will appear. You're going to have to jump off and say, I'm figuring this out. I'm doing something today. I saw a video that I shared. Actually, you and I both shared this video. She was searching for something, and so she just decided to make food. She was like, I can make yummy food. So she started making food and serving it to people, and that has helped her lead. It wasn't serving food as my purpose. It was just, here's an idea I have of something that I can do that feels good to me today, that contributes to some higher, greater power or person or fulfilling something that maybe the world needs out there. And it has led her to the path that she's on and where she is today. That was one of those little monumental points. For me, 2.5 years ago, making that choice was calling up a person who looked up to me a lot and said, hey, could we have a call every single month where I could just coach you in between life and business? Absolutely, for free. Just, would you be committed to that? And she's like, absolutely. And I'm like, 6 months later, I was like, I need to launch this. I get so much fulfillment and so much I look forward to that time more than anything. I have to incorporate this into my life. I have to start doing this more, which led to, me creating a, $250,000 coaching business just from making that one decision to go, you know what, how would it feel to serve her and show up for her and see if I could move the dial in her life and business just from accountability and having her committed to, a plan and a time with me. Yeah. So I really just believe it's taking action. It's just doing something about it today, not thinking about it.
Awesome. And then just one more question. If you had any kind of tidbit for women who maybe want to start businesses, but they don't really know how to start, what would be your suggestion?
Have a mentor. I mean, absolutely. It's what I did. It's what I will always do. If there's something that I want to know how to do, I can try to figure it out on my own, or I can go the quicker route, which maybe takes sometimes a bit of a stretch or an investment or something that you're going to that's really going to keep you accountable. That's also a gift to you. Having to put that skin in the game, put that commitment. That's sometimes the reasons that I've pushed myself out of fear or out of doubt or whatever. When I had to make the payment on the business or finance something or whatever, it's like, I got to do this, right? So you're not like, ooh, should I say this or should I say that? You're just like, something's better than nothing because I've got to make this work. Yeah. So I think having a mentor, having somebody that's been there, done that, you can relate to, but they're through it, right? So make sure that your mentor is further along than, where you're at today, not just a step ahead where she might be able to give you a tip or two or, say, hey, here's exactly what I did, but it was last week. And now here's what you should do this week. But somebody that's really, truly kind of established beyond where you're at. And then somebody that you can kind of go to and say, hey, here's how I feel today. And that person's not going to go, oh, it's okay. I would too. What you're doing is so scary. I could never do it. Kind of like a mother or grandmother. There's a lot of people in my life that I love that I would open up to that weren't in my shoes and would never be. So listening to them make me feel better instead of telling me probably what I needed to hear. I had a mentor who owned an insurance agency. She was a friend of my aunt's and I ended up doing her hair. And I always look back and I'm like, I'm so grateful she was in my life because she had already done it and established it and been through those hard things. And when I was saying, oh, this is so hard, she was like, yep, it is, but you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think you have to have that in a mentor. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's one thing that, I just got a client testimonial the other day and what she said was Carmen inspires me. She tells me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. And so I think that's so important when you look for either a business coach or life coach or, a mentor of any sort, that it's somebody who's going to tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear.
For sure. I always say we can separate friends and our business relationship. I can give you the friend answer and the whatever, but that's not going to necessarily serve you ultimately.
Right.
I mean, and we can go have a glass of wine and just not talk about anything. And I can just be like, you're beautiful. And us not get into it. And that's not necessarily going to help you make your vision, dreams, and goals a reality.
Yeah.
It's going to keep you kind of where you're at. It's going to make you comfortable and feel good for the moment and all of that. So I think that's why mentorship is so important.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. You had tons of information for the mamas that are watching. If you guys want to start a business or you have more questions around being a mompreneur, feel free to contact Natalie. And thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.